Hi everyone, it's Sunday, March 21st, time for another HideNet Week in Review. I'm Vera Dordick. We're going to start with the U.S. again this week because the market there saw substantial increases again. Most sources thought that prices would go up, but again, some selections rose more than expected. As happened the previous week, producers offered very little, if anything, and they still had more bids than they could handle. And most said that they had to limit how much customers could buy just because they don't have enough to sell. Heavy Texas steers racked up another big increase, selling for a high of $39 for seasonal averages. Other steer selections went up a minimum of $2, and some cow selections added another $5. And speaking of the cow market, some are oversold, and those sellers are increasing their asking prices high enough to push a lot of customers to the sidelines. As has been the case on the shipping front, nothing has changed, and everyone is still struggling to get hides to the port and out to sea. But this week there were a few added wrinkles because some Midwestern rail stations were limiting or suspending shipments because of the congestion. Last week's export sales report had combined sales at a healthy 652,000, which was expected because of the way things were selling, but shipments were still a disappointing 463,700. Looking at slaughter for the week through Saturday, March 20th, the total was estimated at 624,000, which is 4% less than last week. Turning to Europe, editor Andrea Guolo says that prices are higher there too. In the UK, he says that British hides are higher by an average of 5 cents per kilo. In England, the high-quality 36 Plus sold at £1.30 per kilo, although the average was around £1.25. In Ireland, the 36 Plus was priced at €1.20, but the range is pretty wide because there are some who bought at €1.10 and those who had to spend up to €1.30. Among bull prices in Europe, they were expected to rise, and they did, but by more than was anticipated. Southern German sold at €1.70 to 75 cents, and a number of origins added to their levels as well. In the European cow market, things were active this week, and there were a lot of sales, and again, all at higher prices. Increases were as much as 10 cents per kilo, depending on the origin. In the veal-skin market, the situation is the same as it has been, with little availability and higher prices, although the gap between the low end and the high end is as much as 70 cents on veal skins. In his analysis this week, Andrea looks at how some of the price increases have tanners shaking their heads because they don't understand how they can be higher again, and then he looks at what's happening as a result of this. Turning to South America, raw material prices are back on the rise again this week. Editor Ronald Guiel says that low slaughter continues to push fresh hides higher, so they closed at 28 cents more than last week at $2.70 per kilo. Tier 1, which had been struggling to remain stable and competitive on the market, actually had to increase this week, and it's currently at $1.10 per square foot. Ronald says that Brazil is still seeing some areas under added restrictions due to surges in COVID-19 infections and deaths, which is not helping the domestic market. In other news from Brazil, Marfrig invested $100 million to expand its U.S. operations through National Beef. In March, Brazil's footwear production should increase anywhere from 26.5% to almost 31%. And from elsewhere in Latin America, we have stories about in Argentina, almost 100 meat exporters were canceled, being able to export under the Hilton quota, and that could cut down on the supply of cattle even further. Colombia lost nearly a third of its footwear sales in 2020. Mexico's 84th Sapica exceeded the expectations for that first in-person fair. And Panama's cattle slaughter dropped by 9%. And finally, in Paraguay, a new frigorifico will start its construction after the Easter holiday. So that's all we have for today. And until next week, good night from HideNet.